I'm Anna.
I'm Ben.
We're AutoSave. Welcome to our
Today
channel.
we're watching Steins Gate, Season 1, Episode 21. Last episode might have been my favorite episode of the series. If it wasn't my favorite, it was definitely up there. It was emotional, but it was really well written and really, really well paced. I don't really know what to expect going forward other than sadness and potential despair after the realization and confirmation that we're probably going to have to witness Kurisu dying next.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm just...
Yeah.
I just feel nervous.
I love this show because of the way that it's making me feel. Even though the way it's making me feel is like pretty, you know.
It's almost like you're completely aware that there's a monster in the closet and someone's telling you you have to open the closet and
Yeah.
you know you do and you're like, I don't want to open it.
But I know that opening it will lead to a good experience, even though it's going to put me through something, you know?
Do I want to be put through something today?
If it's Steins Gate, yes.
Yes.
Please. Ready?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Hi, I'm Anna.
I'm Ben.
We're AutoSave Ben, do you hear something?
Yeah. This segue to our sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by one of the best mobile games of all time. You've definitely heard the name because our sponsor is Raid Shadow Legends.
Raid has been on top for over 4 years now and has tons of interesting stats that's accumulated over the years. Let's see what you can find in the world of Raid.
Raid has over 700 unique champions from 15 factions that you can use in 12 terrifying dungeons, each containing a brutal boss.
You can customize your favorite champions to test out millions of strategies in the game.
Raid's a worldwide phenomenon with over 400 million players in 190 plus countries, and you can battle against them in 3 exciting PvP modes, including real-time live arena.
You can play Raid anytime, anywhere, even on your PC.
Enjoy regular updates adding in new champions, modes, and features. There's always a new challenge to take on.
If you haven't been watching Raid Call of the Arbiter, which rock have you been living under? The limited series is well and truly underway, so be sure to check it out. There's also a bunch of brand new content in Raid Shadow Legends related to Call of the Arbiter, including a free legendary champion, the mighty orc warlord Artak.
All you have to do to get him is log into Raid for 7 days between now and July 24th. This orc is amazing for taking on all kinds of content in Raid, so grab him while you can.
With all of this exciting stuff and more coming to Raid, if you haven't started playing yet, then what are you waiting for? Use our link in the description or scan our QR code to get insane bonuses.
We are talking an epic champion Talia and other useful things.
Thanks Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video.
Are we gonna try to find another way, even if there isn't one? Oh god.
Paradox Meltdown.
I'm glad Daru's going with enough money to satisfy all of his desires that he wants. That's true. Care about each other so much.
マイルの死は1日ずつずれていった。鈴葉のメールを消すことによって14日。この世界線でマイルの死が訪れるのをそれまでに。
オカリー、もう少しで売り切れちゃうところだったよ。
Upa?
タル君の分も確保。オカリンの好きそうなロボットアニメ
Oh, that sounds cool.
いや、俺はいい。
どうして？
考えたいことがあってな。
そうなんだ。大丈夫？もう帰る？
考え事というのはこの会場に潜んでいる機関の資格のことだ。出し抜かねばならんのだ。下手に動くと感づかれる予定通りに行動するのだ。
そうはいないと思うけど。
偵察に行ってくる。1号2丸にここで落ち合おう。いいな。
オカリー、ジュース向こうで売ってるからね。
5時間。
It's probably hard to be around
そ
her.
れまでに見つけるんだ。マイリが生き残る方法を。
2段目。あ、2段目はリアルに訴えるぞ。何？
俺だ。
いい加減説明しろ。一体何があった？
今 今日死ぬ。
聞いた。だからクラッキングが必要なんでしょ。送った D メールを消せ。
ダメだ。クラッキングはなしだ。クラッキングをしないでしなければならない事情が生まれた。今は説明できない。
方法も考えられない。協力も。
How are you gonna phrase it?
Kurisu's helped so much up until this point too. For every other D-mail to be undone.
やっと帰ってくれた。オカリンはラボ寄ってく？食べていこうかなって。疲れちゃった？
いや、もうすぐ。参りはまた。
What if it doesn't happen? What if it doesn't happen?
逃げても結局。
オカリン？
行くぞ。
ねえオカリン、今日はなんでついてきてくれ？どこもあんまり見ないままだったし、もうちょっと案内してあげられたのにな。オカリンより詳しいことってほとんどないから。オカリン、今日はね、ありがとう。行くの初めてだから、マユシーは嬉しかったよ。
コスプレして恥ずかしがっているところを見てやろうかと思ったのだが、なくて残念だった。
来てたら絶対人気出るのにな。
Probably.
そしてルカ
Too popular.
アッ
Riots.
プされまかスーパースターになるのです。
It's a fact.
に行っちゃったなと思いを馳せる
They'd be like proud parents.
本当になりそうだから困る。
ともっと嬉しいかも。
考えておこう。コスプレして参加するのだぞ。過去にクリスティーナも呼ぼう。マイルが説得するのだ。メッドサイエンティストフォー・イン・キョーマが練習ようではないか。
そう、
次。
マユシーの懐中止まっちゃってる。さっき
ここまで来たのにどうしてまだ。
I can't go through this.
運命を。俺がここで跳ねられれば、命を投げ出せば何かが変わるはずだ。
Look at them!
何かが。
Was that
Mayori.
マユリ。
やっと役に立った。オカリンの役に。
なあ、マユリ。ここからじゃあんまり星見えないな。あんまりだろう。
I have chills.
じゃあ
岡部？
The tone, man.
いつまでそこにいるつもりだ？ママ何時間も物音一つ立てずにいたら心配しないけど。教えて。どうしてクラッキングをやめるの？フラグが立ってビビったんですね。わかります。
死に目覚めたと言ってくれ。
らしくないわね。的な態度はどこへ行ったのよ。昨日マッドサイエンティスト。
独善的でなんかいられるか。時のマッドサイエンティスト。全部妄想だ。設定だ。
初対面で気づい。まさかまたタイムリープしてきた。散々相談に乗ってやったでしょ。朝ら遠慮するな。今
Don't hold back
二人で
now.
考えてここまで。
スズハやフェリス、ルカナの思いを犠牲にしてやっとたどり着いた。どうして。
ねえ岡部、あんた明日も心配してた。怖い夢でも見たんじゃないかって。
Pet dream.
教えて。岡部の力になりたいの。
7月28日
July 28th.
ママユリと中橋博士の会見に出かけた。何者かに刺され倒れている。マキセクリ電話レンジにつながっていたダルの携帯にメールを送った。2目の D メール。
The first team.
ベータ世界線から移動することになった元凶。ベータ世界線に戻るということ、つまりその世界に戻るということ。あの D メールを消せばお前が死ぬ。
出てあげて。
マユリか。
ダル君から聞いたんだ。オカリンなんかごめんね。エシコミマに夢中でオカリンのことなかったね。
Putting like blame on herself.
昔よくマユシーにいろんなお話してくれ。機関には幹部が4人いて、
玄武とスザクと清流と白虎だ。
ね、オカリンの話面白かったな。マユシーのことを重荷に感じたら言ってね。もしマユシーにお話できたらいつでも電話してね。
マユリ、おい。
すぐに行くべきよ。すぐに会いに行くべきよ。 今ここで話してても何も答えは出ない。あんたは今まで一人で悩んでた。まゆりに会いに行くべきよ。でも私のプライドが傷つくだけ。先行くわね。
What is Carisi going to do?
I'm sure she'd want to have a hand in saving her own life if possible too. How can we make it work? Save both of them.
やっぱりマユシかなり前に帰ったってコスプレの子が言ってた。
おばあちゃん会いに来てくれたんだよね。最近怖い夢の中でね、もうマユシはひどい目に遭うの。ピストルでパーンって撃たれたり、車の事故に巻き込み車にひかれたりで、本当のことみたいで怖くて痛くて悲しくて、誰か助けてって一生懸命出せなくて、でそんな夢見るのかな。最後にはいつもオカリンが助けに来てくれるの。オカリンありがとうって言うんだけど、声もオカリンには聞こえなくてとっても悲しそうな顔をして一生懸命我慢してるのがわかるの。マユシもごめんねって言うんだけど、やっぱり届かなくて、ごめんね、楽しいんでしょ。萌香さん、ルカ君にフェリスちゃんは2人だけだったのにね。なんかいっぱいしてね、賑やかで、カリンもたくさん話せて楽しそうで。でもね、たまには思い出すんだ。一緒にマユシーがラボに押しかけた頃のこと。学校が終わってラボに行くとね、オカリンはいない。お部屋の片付けしたりしてるうちに「おかえり」って言うとは言わなくて「ご苦労」の後は毎日2時間ぐらいほとんどお話も沈黙とかじゃなくて、ただそこにいるぐり優しい時間が流れてるは本当に人質みたいだなってじゃあ気をつけなきゃ。そのイリュージョン子だくさん。
Is that Upa on the window?
Oh yeah.
そ
God.
の人は多分
That was a nice shot of up close to the line.
ちょっと減っちゃった。なんかとっても辛そうで、いつも泣き出しそうで、マユシーのことなんだって分かってにはなりたくないのにな。
Wants to be helpful.
ごめんね、なんかまた悲しい話になっちゃったね。いつまでもこのままじゃいられないよね。
このままでいい。
オカリンだ。ここが分かったの？
いるのか。俺は常に把握しているのだ。俺の手から逃れられん。絶対にだ。
あんまり無理しちゃダメだよ。
に心配されるほどこの法院巨魔は話せる時が来たら全てを話す。場のガチャガチャやっていくんだろ。
Is she gonna remember it?
Okay, that was Steins Gate, Season 1, Episode 21. Ugh, this show, like, it has me, you know, in a chokehold at the moment.
It's hard to speak or really think about anything other than just processing and listening to what's happening in the show. Like, it's hard to be outside of your experience of watching the show. Once you're like watching it, you're immersed, and it's almost kind of hard to even break out of it, almost like it's a trance.
Mayuri, this episode was extraordinary. Like the like she, from the very beginning, we knew, like, we could see in like the story, in the sense of story, that she was an important character. Obviously, when things went really fucking wrong and a little girl pushed her in front of a train and we realized how wrong things could go, we knew she was an important character. When she had the lines in the hourglass talking to Kiyoma, we knew how fucking important she was. But there's a couple things that they've saved for her. And when they choose to tell us those things, like when we got the reveal of the hostage backstory, right? But this episode, man, when she started talking about her dreams that she'd have, that fucking broke me. She was, one of the lines that she said was that she was like, and I felt it, and it hurt.
And it's the whole experience of seeing not only like his reaction in all of those what felt like bad dreams, but also seeing how he is to her now in terms of like his facial expression, that he always looks like he's about to cry, and the fact that she isn't the one that he goes to anymore to talk to as much, and the fact that she can't even read what he's thinking the way that she used to. There was like much simpler times, but unfortunately all of that just feeds onto this really, really sad kind of theme that's been from the beginning, that she doesn't want to be a burden, and she's always like reaching up to the stars as if she could like disappear at any moment, and Okabe's been keeping her here.
One of the things that like breaks my heart the most is like Kiyoma Ocarine. I through all the anguish and torture that he's put himself through, he's doing so to save Mayori and try to find a place where she doesn't have to go through death, of course, but I like the least amount of pain. And I think it's so fucking sad to think that Mayori, in her own way, in this world line, has been going through a lot of pain. And because of Okarine's distance, because of his attempts at saving her, she's been having to go through that alone. And that is really sad.
What we get with this episode is, that fits with that, is a dialogue of the idea that for this, he has sacrificed what everyone loves the most. And so not only is he going through all of this anguish as if he is alone and the only one that can truly experience it and go back and fix it and retain those memories, he's sacrificing what people love the most, and even those people are awakening those memories to some extent. And now we know that every single time he went back to save Mayuri, she has an awareness of every single death.
It's not the specifics to me that matter, like of the fact that it's like it doesn't matter that it's not Mayuri being like, oh, so I've died in this many world lines and you've gone back this many times. The thing that matters to me is just like how she experienced what she has and her voicing of it. I don't think that there's ever been a TV show or an anime that I've watched that I felt like I wanted to be friends with the group of people that I'm watching more than the show. I feel like such a nerd and I feel so lame, but 21 episodes into the show, I think hearing Kiyoma tell Kurisu like this whole thing's been an act fucking ruined me,
like,
dude.
When he just like discarded
what that means for Kiyoma, right? Like, because it for me, what it does to every other character in the show, specifically Kurisu, because she was there, was letting her know how fucked he is right now, right? Because what place does he need to be in or feel like he's in to break that, and not only break it but fake it too? That fucking like, and be fucking Steins Gate for like putting some silly little goofy like cosplay aspect since episode 1, because if I can't imagine this show without the mad scientist bit. Because the mad scientist bit is so fucking crucial to the emotional through line of the story to be able to be utilized in such a way now. And oh my god, when he's going through his shit and you hear the same goddamn song slowed down again like a lullaby, I don't know. I am really sad, but I love the show, and I don't know.
I remember when we first started the show, the mad scientist bit just struck me as this quirky, fun aspect in a very kind of heavy this could get really serious topic. And it was fun, and it was inventive, and the energy of the lab members, and it fit with how casual and close they are with their dialogue, how well, like, the back and forth is written for the characters. But now that we're, like, you know, where we are in the story, to realize that the mad scientist bit and what it was then, which is basically just some mechanism of creating distance and between himself and others to some extent, and not wanting to be truly vulnerable maybe. But now we have actual distance being created with characters now because of how he's trying to do this all alone, and the more and more he saves Mayuri, the more and more he distances himself from her, where she can't even tell how he's feeling, because he's like more and more distressed and more like not living in the moment. He's constantly in another world, if you will, like trying to think of how to fix this. And it's really, I'm honestly like impressed by that aspect, that they did something to initially get you to like Okabe's character, think he was like entertaining to some extent, like, oh, this guy's quirky, he's fun, he's interesting, this show seems like it'll be a hoot, you know, like it'll be funny, it'll be quirky. And then they actually used it as like a theme, like an underlying theme of connection, and like if someone was actually in this situation and they felt like they were all alone, and then they make it more complex of like those people. It almost reminds me of like now we're seeing like how alone it is to be with your own thoughts, because we're getting all these layers of like alone and distance and connection. Like when at the end we have Kurisu alone, basically looking at the place that she died in. It's like, yes, she was the biggest speaker on like, let's do this together, but there's this really great relationship between like camaraderie and lab member to we're all going through something that we have walls built or we're trying to process ourselves, and there are times and things that we feel like we have to do by ourselves, or times that emotionally we distance ourselves to maybe try and attempt to protect ourselves. And it's just really nice.
You said something about like where Ocarine is, right? I think like at least my perspective of it, which can be totally off, is like he's past laying on the roof. Like he's not like he's already thought of any like in his mind he's already thought of every possible solution, and now he's the next step of that, where he's just like it's almost like a sedation, it feels like, of like, I don't know what else to think of, I don't know what else to do, I can't be fully immersed in here, right? But I've already I've already tried to think of so much.
He even tried to jump in front of a car.
Dude,
like,
his will is ridiculous. I want to talk about like a little bit about Kurisu and what's to come with that, but first I want to mention like a couple more things about Mayuri. Her referencing the other lab members and saying that was wild to me, and took me on like a journey of like understanding what she feels and knows currently. But what really stood out to me was the backstory of like, oh, years ago when I first came after school, and we just sat, right, and we were just together, and Ocarine didn't say what was the line when he came in and saw that I was cleaning the room. He said good work, and like that entire sequence and like progression was like super
like
awesome
he never
to me.
That his initial thing that he said wasn't anything that would make her feel like she wasn't just supposed to be there. Just coming in and saying good work is just kind of like not even acknowledging whether you should or should not be there
It
It's
makes
like, yeah, you're just like meant to be here.
it truthfully makes me like it's a reminder to me of how emotionally intelligent Kiyoma is, like, and where what he knows without saying it to us, because whether it's Suzuha, Mayuri, Karisu, Daru, or especially Moeka, he has created a place that people feel like they belong and can feel welcome. And it reminds me of that, like, seemingly like a hint of frustration when Kiyoma remembered Moeka sitting on the couch the other episode, and I loved that. And my last bit of Mayuri love this episode was in talking to her grandmother. She was like, I'm so sorry. I won't talk about anything sad. I'll talk about something happy. And then, like, through the next, like, 3 or 4 lines, like, the writing was so good because you're on this journey with her of trying to talk about something else that is happy and making her happy. But through, like, just thinking through a random thing, you get back to talking about something sad again. And I thought that was great and sad. And I loved it. And I can't believe that they were able to have this episode felt like 40 minutes to me because of how much content they included, because it wasn't just Mayuri, it was Karisu too. And a lot happened on Karisu's front. And she's at a place right now where I have a lot of questions, because we saw in similar world line instances when a character would interact or get a glimpse of a specific thing, it would remind them seemingly of their past world lines and memories. And since she is in a place where she was previously or in another world line murdered, what will that lead to here? Is it going to take us down a path of finding out who killed her through her memories?
Ooh,
Is
I'd
she
like
going
that.
to take matters into her own hands? Because this whole episode was a reminder to us of every step of the way. When Ocarine was at his wit's end, he was able to lean on Karisu because she was so quick to pick things up and so quick into believing him and figuring out an issue. And without that, it feels so different and foreign to me as like a viewer, because it's like she's not here because she can't be right now, because it specifically involves her death, right? It's too complicated for that. But what's to come now? I'm in like a fearful limbo of what to expect next.
I mean, Kurisu is a great example of that, like, distance and versus, like, togetherness and connection from this episode, where this whole time she's been like, Ocarine, you know, like, involve me, I'm your teammate in this, like, we can do this together. And we know that obviously in no world would she have imagined that what he would say to her would be that she was stabbed, and that whatever was wrong would involve her. In every world, she probably just imagined this is something that he and I can tackle together, that my stake in it is maybe just my, like, care about another person, but not so a part of, you know, so attached to her, so connected to her as herself. And so we get this whole, like, really great example of that distance of, like, oh yes, I'm here, tell me. But now there has to be some distance because she's just heard that she's going to be stabbed, and now she has this realization that it's like one life for another. What's her pride going to do with this? Like, is she going to still try to figure it out and fix it as a scientist, though her personal feelings are involved now? I do have a lot of questions of how she's going to handle this. I like that you brought up, like, is she going to solve her own murder? Basically that idea. I would be into that if that was the case. But
I wasn't bringing it up in the sense of her, like, solving her own murder, but more of just, like, to give us, like, the knowledge of who.
I mean, she might. I mean, since when can, like, ghosts talk, you know, about, like, who did something to them? And here's kind of an example of someone could know. Is there any world that
Kurisu feels like they want to take this into their own hands and take away the option from Ocarine. Like, is there a route that we could go down? Because obviously, like, Ocarine has, like, the reading Steiner, right? And nobody else seemingly does nobody else does. Is Kurisu the type of character to be like, I'm going to make this decision for you and make it so you can't undo it?
So that topic is a through line with what's been happening with these D-mails being undone. Specifically, like, Ferris is an example. The giving of autonomy, like, Okabe knows that, like, what he's doing is going to be really heavy. It's a sacrifice for these people to knowingly be like, yes, unsend my D-mail. And he's giving them that autonomy to be the one that basically pushes the button, even though they're not the one that does it, to give permission for this to happen, to have an awareness that this needs to happen, even if it is sacrificing something that they want. They still are being given some amount of a part of it. They're a part of the decision. It's not just someone taking control over their lives for them. They're still having control over how they think and act. And I think because we've seen that example with the other characters being given that space to be a part of the decision and not just controlled, that Kurisu would definitely also have some part in this. I mean, she herself brought up her pride, and I think that as a character, you know, it really brings me back to that line, and I feel like I reference it a lot for Kurisu's character, where when she was first asked if she would ever do a D-mail herself, she said that she would never change anything about her past. And here we have, at around the end of the series, her debating changing something about herself or keeping something that originally canon should have happened.
Yeah.
And that's a really interesting place to have this character. And so now she's almost going to be at a battle with her own opinions on the matter. She had such a strong stance that she wouldn't use it for herself, or she wouldn't undo something that happened or was meant to happen in her life because that makes her who she is. And now she'll be basically, if she avoids death here, is she contradicting her own strong opinions on time travel?
Well, I think that more than anybody, Kurisu has like a sense of respect for time travel through her and her father's, you know, upbringing. I don't know where that I don't know where it's going, to be honest. Like, it is, I'm really excited to find out because I love this show and I've loved everything they've done. But fuck, I don't know what it's going to do, like, put me through next, because on one hand, I'm trying to think of a way, like, I'm trying to think of the possibilities of an ending in each variety, good, bad, something in between, gray. It's really hard to imagine something good at the moment. Like, okay, good as in, like, everybody survives and, like, and that's the story they're trying to tell. And if that's the story they are telling, fucking more power to you, and let me see that, please, from my heart. But I don't know at this point if that's the route that it's going, and I love it for that.
Mayuri had a line that said something along the lines of, nothing good happened, but today was good. And I think that kind of fits with what I imagine is the energy that it could be conveyed by whatever the ending might be of the show, is that, like, something like amazingly miraculous isn't necessarily going to happen. Something where you're like, that event was great and good, but life itself is inherently good. And that might be the message of, like, that kind of line. Mayuri's attitude toward the world, or in that line, if I am reading into it correctly, could be a kind of message for the ending. I feel as we progress through these episodes, I feel more and more like I just want to pause and, like, not see the ending, because I feel so unsure of how they would end it, and I almost feel in my I'm like, am I going to be unsatisfied if it's like happy, everyone survives, we've figured out how to save everyone?
I think it's a pretty safe bet to say that we are going to feel satisfied, or at least I'm going to feel satisfied.
If everyone
it's just
survives?
so good. No, I'm just saying whatever they choose to do.
Yeah,
Like,
I know, but like I have started questioning myself on like, what would I even be satisfied with as an ending for this? And because, you know, it's of course a wish of mine for everything to be happy all the time, or endings of stories to be resolved in a way that everyone gets to go off into the sunset and be happy and survive. But I don't know if that is the satisfying route for the story that we've been given and the characters we've been given. The outro for Suzuha, like Mr. Braun's character, Moeka's character. Like, is there really like a shiny, like, we're going to wash all this away and everything is going to be perfect because we fixed it all? Is that satisfying to me? At the moment, I think that whatever they do, I am prepared that it's not necessarily going to be all like butterflies, roses, sparkles. And I think that that is totally okay because of how the story has been and what it's setting up for my expectations of like what I'm okay with, what the story is saying and telling, and the overarching messages. So I'm okay with whatever is chosen to do, even if it hurts.
Yeah. I've only felt this way once, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but the only time I felt this way on the channel was when we were entering Mob Psycho's final arc. And it was the feeling of like I have no idea what's happening, but I feel like I'm in the most trusted hands.
Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm playing an Otome game, and there's a bad ending, like a neutral ending where they end up as like friends, or it's like not super romantic, and then a perfect ending.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I've played the game right. Am I gonna like get a good ending, or am I getting the bad ending? Is this like Collar Malice? Like, is this like a super mature game where people are gonna die if you
Anna,
get it wrong?
what are Otome games if nobody's ever heard that term
games
before?
are like a
Quick.
visual novel dating sim. Choices matter.
Mm-hmm.
And normally if you play it wrong, you get a bad ending. And in a lot of the more mature titles, that bad ending is death or something graphic and horrible and traumatic.
Well, isn't that what Ocarina is basically done?
Mm-hmm.
Because he's gone through so many bad endings with so many different people.
And he hasn't clicked the right choices to get that good ending yet. And I wonder what that good ending is. Is it even achievable? He needs some cheat codes.
All right, that's all I have. You good?
I think so.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time.